Okay, who am I going to say? I'm not a big fan of those early morning flights. Get on the plane to Philadelphia. There were a couple of guys coming from a conference that they'd been at, and we started talking to the guy that was sitting next to us. Turns out he's the CEO of a family-run but like $11 billion business. So I started talking to the guy that was sitting next to me. I taught him a real quick version of Social Styles, the thing that I do for KPMG, 6 years running now. It's the best communication model I've ever seen. So I showed him that on a napkin, and just talked through some of the personnel issues and opportunities they have, but also some struggles and things. And then we started talking about a company of owners. I gave him a copy of the book, and then gave the guy across the aisle a copy of the book, and watched them for the remainder of the flight, both just open it up and read it. And as we were landing, the guy that was sitting across the aisle, who works for a company that's connected with Estee Lauder, that's the parent company, and he had told the guy, hey, what is that book? And the guy showed it to him, and he said, I got to get a copy of that. So as we're landing, he's ordering it on Amazon. Hotel Du Pont. Talk a little this afternoon too after we take a nap. Using a new, actually a whole new system, thanks to Ron White. Shout out to Ron White, the memory guy. I'm doing the whole little room thing. I think I told you about it. I'm not sure if you understood what I was talking about. But
no, I got it.
Where you kind of go, have different areas of the room. Anyway, it actually ended up being a pretty cool way to memorize the whole talk. Hi there. So I've got different versions of talks, and it depends on the group I'm speaking to, where I kind of tailor it to them. The bits and pieces are not mostly, they're all like stories and things from real life that I've experienced, so it's not like something I have to, it's not like trying to memorize a quote. That's us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, we need to connect with the Hawaii Visitors and Convention Bureau as well. And there was a fantastic restaurant in the Hotel Du Pont, and this just very energetic, really cool girl met us. Her name was Maddie. She was our server and also doing the hostess stuff. And she saw us filming, and she sort of shied away from that a little bit. And then when she found out, Elise said, yeah, we're shooting our own little reality TV show. She's like, oh. And I noticed later she kind of was photobombing it. So little shout out to Maddie.
If you're telling a story of 3 or 4 days at a conference, right? There's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes that's important to tell, and telling it means shooting it, and shooting it means remembering to be ready.
Had a great little mixer that night. It's one of my favorite things to be able to get early to an event and actually spend some time with the people, because when you build those relationships, a couple of things. One, you find out information about what are really their pain points, or it gives you a different way to connect. I've had plenty of opportunities where I meet people from the group I'm speaking to in advance and actually rejig, my talk around some of the pieces of information they've shared or things, and it just makes it that much more personal. They actually provided books for everybody. So I had some lady come up to me at breakfast and say, I read your book last night. It's always cool when, you know, people have connected with the material even before you speak. So I'm getting ready to do the morning keynote for PM Hotel Group. It's a very large hotel group. Been around a while. They're growing like crazy, just some really cool stuff. I'm going on after the president, no pressure. But we just had breakfast. It's always fun at these things because you sit down and people are trying to figure out, now what hotel are you with and where are you from, until they figure out you're the speaker, and then that's the connection for you being here. So at any rate, got up this morning, did my regular routine, went over my talk real quick, and then at some point you just have to put it down and go have breakfast and not worry about it. So I'm going to get up there in a little bit and crush it. This theme was drive, and they were talking about building relationships and kind of moving into the future, and it was actually a perfect theme. I really try to build around whatever the theme is of the group that's bringing me in. You want me to do this because that's V for victory. I know we just saw the movie Darkest Hour, but this is street, right? And I'm street. I'm street keynote.
Are you listening? Damn. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I've heard Daren before, and I know you're absolutely going to enjoy him. So, Dr. Daren Martin.
Thank you, Woody. I want to talk to you today about creating a company of owners, what that looks like. I'm going to give you some very practical things you can do on multiple levels that you can take back and put into action, okay? Tell somebody your first name and your last name real quick. Tell them your first name and your last name. So I want to frame it up this way. Everybody in the room, maybe a few exceptions, but everybody in the room has a first name and a last name, and those represent two very different things. The first name is my individuality. It is the thing that makes me unique within my family. It's the, you know, I may like some things that nobody else in the family likes. I may do some things. I have some skills. I have some abilities. We'll get to first name in a little bit. I want to focus on last name for just a little bit. Last name is about that affiliation. It's about who we are a part of. It's about our tribe. It's about our clan. It's about our company. So I thought you did a great job of doing a lot of last name. I thought it was about a lot of last name. Here's where we are. Here's what we've done. Here's where we're going. And then there was a lot of first name thrown in. Did you see that? We want to thank so-and-so over here and so-and-so over here. And this person did a great job with that. Great companies have a strong, powerful last name and a strong, powerful first name.
I use a lot of stories when I speak because it just adds so much value. First of all, people really identify with stories. They connect well with them. But also, it takes whatever point I'm trying to make and it puts it in a visual picture that they take with them. People remember stories much more readily than they remember certain points or things. And so by attaching stories to what I'm trying to say, it just makes it that much more powerful. One of my favorite stories is about a 9-year-old boy named Lynn Howe and the powerfulness of his story and about why he went to those heroic efforts. It's just a perfect teaching point for talking about identity and identity with companies.
They go over to this kid and they're like, they find out what happened. They're like, what were you thinking? I mean, that's crazy. You were safe. Why would you risk life and limb to go back into the rubble? You know, we could have had another earthquake. This could have been terrible. And he looked at them and he just has this look of incredulity. He said, I had to. It's my job. I'm a hall monitor. Now think about that. Somebody that so closely identifies with the title, with the mission, with the name, that they would do something heroic like that.
I actually changed my talk and added this thing at the end, my 1-minute TED Talk, as I call it.
I want us to make 2018 the year of yes. I'd much rather screw up by doing something than by colossally screw up and having lots of regrets by doing nothing. Mario Andretti said, if life doesn't feel a little out of control, you're just not going fast enough. So I want you to do something real quick. Take your left foot, put it really hard onto the ground there. Press really hard with your left foot. That's the break. And what I want to encourage everybody, our theme is drive. I want us to accelerate into 2018 so far that we blow every other, metrics out of the room. By the way, what was it, 39% of people hit their targets? That is not going to happen in 2018. We want 100% of people hitting their target, and you can do it if you'll do what I'm talking about. You'll adopt a strong last name, a strong first name, you'll take responsibility for it, and get that car across the finish line. So I want you to take your foot off the left and press real hard on the right. That's what we call the accelerator. And for most of us, this is going to be a big year if we'll stop saying no and start saying yes and figure out how to drive and accelerate into 2018 and make this the best year we've ever had. Thank you.
As is always the case during the conference, I'm running around, taking pictures, snapping video. It's showtime.
Never mind, I'm sorry. It took you too long to get from the back room. Hey, you get kudos and okay, solidarity. Okay. The only reason you're getting to stay up here, what's your name? Dixie walked in this morning and told me, I read your book last night.
Trying to get testimonials.
Our team came away with more tools to go back to their hotels with, and enthusiasm to take it to the next level in terms of ownership and producing results.
Nuggets of information which were shared today, and I can't wait to take the books back and inspire all of my team members.
He once again was absolutely fabulous. Second time I've heard him. Loved it.
It was an awesome experience.
The energy that he brought to our group was absolutely where we hoped it would be.
So, the calm after the storm. I actually sat in before I spoke to listen to the President give the State of the Union, and that is always gold if I get to sit in and hear that, because I can tie those themes wonderfully. I started to say ironically, but really wonderfully. One of their values is centered around acting like an owner, which is perfect, obviously, for a lot of my messaging with company of owners, act like an owner. And I was also able to tie to their metrics, their theme. Actually, I'm always throwing out and adding stuff in as I go, because you got to get a feel for the room, you got to get a feel for what's resonating with them, and you either run up against time crunches or you realize you got more time than you thought you were going to have. And so, the ability to call audibles as a speaker and to have the depth of material that you can call on to use that. I always walk off after speaking not feeling like, oh boy, I said everything I wanted to say. I always walk off going, oh, I could have said that and I could have done that. And that's just, you just gotta, take it as it was. So at any rate, great group, very responsive. Love the energy in the room. By the way, that is not about the room, that's about you. If you're a speaker, you've got to own the responsibility of how people are responding to you. When you get increase in engagement, how that can just completely fulfill everything that you're trying to accomplish. And
Daren does that so well because he connects so easily with people.
Now I'm taking a video of you guys. It's nap time for sure. It's not draining, it really is invigorating, but it also does kind of just take a lot of energy out of me. So, and I know you're doing all the behind the scenes stuff, so it's taking as much energy out of you. You're running around. Somebody was like, oh my goodness, she's like doing everything.
The camera weighs 10 pounds. So.
Are you serious?
Yeah, my camera weighs 10 pounds.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, and so if you're running around holding that up for an hour during a talk.
What kind of camera weighs 10 pounds? I had no idea.
A real camera?
Cheers to a 10-pound camera.
And then you're just like, whew. but it's invigorating. But it's like,
we actually stayed over that night after I spoke and got to go on a little pub crawl with the group.
Or a bar walk, a bar hop. I think people don't realize about conferences that a whole lot of things can go wrong.
Thank you, gentlemen.
It was shocking because it was so loud, everybody got scared, and then we had this great time walking around the city. And we went in teams, which was really cool because we could see the other team and we could be like, hurrah!
Had a blast doing that, and met some more, just fantastic people.
We met this really cool guy. His name is Lawrence. So he says to me that he's the person who takes pictures of you when you're not looking, and I said, I'm the person that takes video when people are not looking.
Together, we are taking the photos and the videos when none of you are looking.
Hey, that's us, right together.
Yeah.
Hilarious. We had such a blast. We met so many great people, new kinds of personalities, like we always do on the road.
So happy we stayed the next day and heard a couple of the speakers. They were great. I always like listening to other speakers.
One of them was a female pilot. She was really awesome, very inspiring. My favorite quote that she said was, "Nobody wants to live a scripted life." And that's really touching because it's true. At the end of the day, it's not just about the audience, it's about the people. So touching and wonderful for the PM group to bring out the people who were working behind the scenes and thank them for their hard due diligence of making the event a success. Every time we go to one of these, it's important that we remember that we're there to help, making sure that their event is a success, that their people are walking away with actionable tools, that they can use ideas and stories that they can share.
And went to bed, got up the next day and left.
And brought us a chicken Philly cheese steak.
Philly cheesesteak. No steak, no peppers, and no onion.
Then we got on the train and we went down to Richmond to see some family. And we got to hang out with Daren's brother, Craig, which was really cool for me because he's doing his own reality show and I got to ask him all kinds of cool questions.
So one day I go to pick up the kids at school. Sometimes I don't like sitting on my wallet, so back in my office I set my wallet down. I go pick them up, no driver's license, the whole thing. I go to the 7-Eleven, they get snacks, we get drinks, the whole thing. I go to pay, and guess what? I don't have my wallet. And it was like, $5.50 or something. It was not a small amount. And my friends at 7-Eleven are like, the guy says, "Oh, don't worry." I said, no, I'll pay you. He's like, "No, it's whatever, don't worry." I said, I promise I'll bring the money back. He's like, "I know you'll bring the money back. If you want to bring the money back, fine, no problem." So I go only exclusively if I can to that 7-Eleven because they treat me like family.
What do you think about that?
So I have a buddy who went into Nordstrom's because he was on the road. He got a speaking gig at another place and he didn't have clothes for it because he was dressed like for like a power plant or something. He got this invite to go do this, fancier gig. So he goes into Nordstrom. He's got to make his plane. He doesn't have time. The guy says, "Listen, hand me your business card. When you get to the destination you're going, call me and I'll get your credit card and we'll pay out. But here you go. Just take it and go." Now, when you contrast that with Erica's story, wouldn't let you out of the store with a fuse because you were 2 cents short. And of course, and you couldn't use the credit card because you didn't meet the $5 limit. And this guy was actually the owner, right? Who said, no, if I do that for everybody, I'm eventually going to be out of business. Really?
2 pennies.
It's a $2.70. You're short 2 cents, and he won't let you out of the store for 2 cents.
Oh, and by the way,
and by the way, you've never been back there, or you don't shop there on purpose, right?
I tell everybody the story.
It's just people are so short-sighted; they don't realize the goodwill that just taking care of people is going to do.
And the bad part about this particular story with the 2 cents is that he knew us. We were there all the time. So this guy was just complete jerk and realized, I mean, she could have easily brought the 2 pennies back later. But no.
I'm sorry, anytime you're talking about 2 pennies on anything, I mean, come on.
Oh, wow. Oh my goodness, that was an amazing game to watch. Opportunity to watch it with family, with my brother and his family and my parents, and that was just an absolute blast.
And then we got on the plane and came back.
Came over and we did a photo shoot right here in the DarenMartin.com Success Studio. We've only seen a few of the pictures so far, but man, they look fantastic.